He talks a good game. He talks a good game. On the outside, he talks a good game.
Is Paqueta irreplaceable? Well, according to Nuno, he is. He's totally irreplaceable. Oh no, what are we going to do without Lucas Paqueta at West Ham? Last game against Bournemouth, he was suspended after picking up a few yellow cards, of course. So, well, we kind of missed him. We kind of missed him, definitely, in terms of the second half, in terms of options, and that was forcing Nuno to make some crazy substitution decisions and changing the tactics that completely screwed the pooch. But is he irreplaceable? I don't believe he is irreplaceable. I think we can put players in his position, and we do quite well. I don't believe that Fernandes cannot be put into that position, and then Fernandez's position to be filled by, I don't know, Magassa or somebody like that, or another player to play against, play alongside Potts. It's not ideal, I give you that, but at the same time, there are other players in the squad. Now, is this another ploy from, West Ham manager Nuno Espirito Santo to say, we've got, our squad depth is so terrible. Oh, yeah, if we lose Lucas Paqueta, that's it. It's all doom and gloom. We can't do anything about it. Is this just more manager? Is this just an excuse? Look, we know West Ham, or, look, any club, right? We're always, as football fans, we're always concerned about squad depth. And ideally, you want to be, a really rich club that can just buy lots of players, good quality players, to have that squad depth. We know that. And West Ham, we do definitely question the squad depth. And we question, why aren't, the youth players, having a more prominent role this season. Yeah, they're getting onto the subs bench. Yeah, they're getting into the matchday squad. But they're not really being given a good chance. When the first team squad is actually quite poor, there isn't a great deal of depth. But in terms of the youth, there is actually quite a bit of depth there. So, I've said this in a few weeks ago. I said, look, how bad can they be if the first team squad players, the ones that are on the bench, are that bad that none of us want to see them play? Then surely bring in the youth, right? Until January comes or next summer comes, when Nuno can buy players of his choosing, right? But that'll be the nail in the coffin for those youth players. Of course, they'll never come through. As soon as he gets new signings, those youth players won't have a chance. But it still comes down to the same thing: is Lucas Paqueta irreplaceable? Well, you better start thinking about it. Any manager that thinks that one individual player is irreplaceable is not thinking ahead. Is not looking at his squad and thinking about alternatives. He's not thinking about compensator players. He's not thinking about, slotting his players into different positions just to change things up a little bit. Yes, in many ways, a player, in terms of Lucas Paqueta, or any player, your best player, could be irreplaceable. But a great manager, a good manager, will always be planning ahead, always be looking for solutions, always be looking to say, do you know what? Yeah, one day we might lose him because he's that good. Do you know what? We need to start looking elsewhere. We need to start looking at other players. Look, this is all easier said than done. Of course, I completely understand that. But if your manager is saying to the whole world, look, this player is irreplaceable, then you're basically opening up anything that goes on negatively with the performance or with the result. It'll be basically based upon whether that player doesn't perform very well on the day or is absent for suspensions, injuries, whatever. That is just sending a clear message to the ownership and to the fan base to say, hey, look, it's not my fault. Whatever happens here, it's not my fault because we've got one player, he's totally irreplaceable. And you know what? We're going to play Bournemouth at the weekend. And you know what? Hey, because he's irreplaceable, don't expect too much. That's not a positive manager for me. That is not a manager who's got the bit between his teeth and saying, no, we're going to try and win every game. We're going to try and go there and get a great result and put on a great performance. That is a manager who's resigning himself to the fact, you know what, we've got a great player here who's inconsistent in the fans' opinion, but he's a great player on his day. Of course he is, absolutely. He's fantastic on his day. But those days are few and far between, right? We know that. Objectively, look at it. You'll know that. You'll see that it's not always great. But you're saying to us as a fan base and to the ownership and to any other fan interested party out there to say, look, if he's not on form or if he's not in the game, that's it. Forget it. We're going to lose these games. So you're not finding a solution here. You're not offering any real solutions to that. So against Bournemouth, let's just say, for example, against Bournemouth, if they change up the whole defensive setup, you went 3 at the back, and we were kind of wondering, at the start of the lineup, you kind of wonder, what is this formation going to be? Is it 3? Is it a 5? Is it what is it? 3-4-3? What is it? So it sets up on a 3-4-3, but you bring in Igor into the defensive setup, which, okay, fine, he actually did a good job. Kilman had a bit of a shocker, really. Todibo was fantastic. Areola was fantastic. Wan-Bissaka didn't have a great game. Juve had an okay game. But you kind of setting yourself up to change the system of the team to compensate for an absent Paqueta, as opposed to trying to find another player to slot in to where Paqueta plays and see if you can change things around a little bit, but still keep that Paqueta role, that number 10. We didn't have a 10. So why didn't you put something like Fernandes in there? Or try another player? This is what I'm thinking here. Why doesn't a manager, any manager, think about, okay, we need that position, that number 10, that number 9, whatever it is, but we need to find a player that can go there, or who can be subbed in to that role, or somebody in the squad that can go in there. And it appeared to me that Nuno wasn't willing to entertain that at all. He was kind of thinking, no, we've got to change it. We've got to be defensive. We've got to, get rid of that number 10 role. And it was just because of the brilliance of Callum Wilson in the first half, as in terms of his strikers' know-how, that he was able to get those 2 goals. But really, you couldn't say we were dominating the first half. You couldn't say it was a master plan, master's tactic from Nuno. This was just basically that Callum Wilson was able to capitalise. His goal striker's goal scoring instinct just kicked in. But we had nobody in that 10. So you're kind of wondering, well, if he is irreplaceable, he's only irreplaceable in your mind. Surely, as a manager, football manager, you've got to be thinking a lot more about this. And if he is irreplaceable, what are you going to do at the end of the season, or potentially even in January if he decides to go? Then we really will be screwed. So what are you saying then? Even in January, we're looking for a replacement for Paqueta when we really need another striker, and maybe where we need another defender for Kilman. Maybe we do need another midfielder, an attacking midfielder. But you've got to not just lay all your tools down and resign yourself to the fact that, Paqueta's not in the side, or what are we going to do? No, it doesn't work like that. It doesn't work like that for me. You've got to be stronger in these moments. You've got to be more. You've got to plan more. You've got to be more progressive. You've got to be more optimistic. You've got to be more positive. You can't just get into a defensive setup just because one player is not on it or he's absent for whatever reason. No, you've got to find a way to, preserve that position, preserve the style that you want. Now, if you've got multiple injuries, you've got multiple absentees, yes, you might have to change things up. Of course you do. But just for one player, regardless if he's our talisman, regardless of how good he is, regardless of whatever, if he was consistent and he had a blinder every single game, I would say, yes, he is irreplaceable. But he's not, because he's not consistent enough. He doesn't always turn it on. He tries, don't get me wrong, he tries things, and maybe you could question his consistency because he hasn't had the players around him to feed off him. But at the same time, he's got to be responsible for his own performances as well. So I don't think he's irreplaceable. I think he is replaceable. Might not be with the same kind of style, might not be with the same kind of quality, but he is irreplaceable. I think in some cases, squad depth is used as an excuse. It's an excuse possibly by fans, but certainly by managers. They're sending out clear messages to the ownership saying, no, squad depth's not good here. No, I need more money. Yeah, fine. We all want more money. Yeah, we all want you to buy players. But at the same time, you gotta do something with the tools that you're given. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think Paqueta is irreplaceable, or do you think this is a little bit of an excuse? I'm feeling this is a little bit of an excuse. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you like what I do here, keep on watching. But hopefully Paqueta will come back at the weekend against Liverpool and he score a hat-trick. And then we'll all be saying he is irreplaceable, and didn't we miss him? I'm certainly hoping that'll be the case, right? I'm certainly hoping that'll be the case. Let us know your thoughts, and I'll catch you again. Bye now.